Alright, so last month a brand new Transformers movie released in the theaters, Transformers 1. Today, for the second year in a row, I'm going to rank all 9 now Transformers movies. Alright, before I get started with my ranking, let me know down below in the comment section what is your ranking of all of the Transformers movies. I want to know all that and more. This is an interesting franchise to me because I kind of grew up with the first couple of movies, Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, and Dark of the Moon. I grew up with all three of those, watched those countless times growing up, but, like, a lot of them are terrible movies. Like, I'd say 4 of them I would not consider to be good movies. The bottom 4 that I have, and then, like, even all the ones going up to my number 1, they're still flawed. I don't think a single one of them are a perfect movie. So, like, this is just a very, very weird franchise for me, even though I do have a special place in my heart for it. Before I get started, please make sure, go down below, let me know what is your ranking of the Transformers movies. And with that said, let's get started with number 9, easily Transformers The Last Knight. And normally when I watch a movie like this, because when I watched this, I just felt restless. I had to get up, walk around quite a few times watching this movie. And normally when that happens, it's because I'm tired or not in the right headspace to watch a movie. So, like, I'll re-watch it again before I have to film a ranking or a video about it, just so I can make sure what my opinions are, make sure I was in the right headspace. So I was considering doing that for this movie, and I didn't, because I just had no interest in doing it. This is where the Michael Bay Transformers movies just completely pushed their limit and lost me with this movie. And, you know, it's not without good ideas. Optimus Prime going up to space, meeting his maker, fantastic idea. One of the best things that they could bring into a Transformers movie. But even that's not handled well. So the whole movie is King Arthur and all this stuff, and Mark Wahlberg's, like, chosen for something. He's gonna do something, I don't remember, probably fight some bad guys or whatever. And it's just like, got all the Michael Bay stuff cranked up to 11 again, and this was when I rewatched all of the movies for last year's ranking. Didn't do that this year, but I was just completely over it. It can really get on your nerves by the time that you get to this movie, because it's just so ludicrous, so stupid, doesn't make any sense, and I think it just turns into a boring mess. It's just boring, because, like, it can't do anything that we haven't seen before, because we've seen giant CGI robots fighting each other and killing each other. We've seen that before, and if the story doesn't have anything interesting, I just can't get invested in the movie. So there was that, and just, like, final nail in the coffin was how they handled that Optimus Prime plotline, where he's finally going to fight the Autobots. The thing that we were waiting for this entire movie, how does it resolve? Bumblebee goes, Optimus, yo, you know we were bros, right? Before this happened to you. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm your bro now. That's how the movie ends. Like, we don't get the cool fight, we don't get anything. It's just that, and it's definitely disappointing for me. So this was just where I've had my wits in with the Transformers franchise. I just could not stand this movie. I couldn't even really sit down and watch the whole movie. I had to get up about 10 times every hour just to refresh my brain. Like, oh my god, it's just a mess, and I hated this movie. Number 8, I'm going with Transformers the movie, the animated one based off the old TV show. And I get that everybody, like, this has their following. People grew up with this. I didn't grow up with the animated Transformers. I grew up with the live-action Transformers, so watching this movie didn't really give anything to me. It's interesting to see this movie. It was definitely an interesting movie. It's kind of like watching X-Men, like the original animated series back from the 90s. Not X-Men 97, that's a fantastic show, but like X-Men, to where, except X-Men is 10 times better than this. But anyways, where we just kind of see what the characters are up to, and, you know, what they're going, what they're doing, and it's kind of cool. It's not my movie, but, you know, it's a good enough movie. And I think the main problem with it is that it's just not the movie for me. I mean, every character doesn't have their special skill set. All they do is just take laser guns and shoot each other while poppy punk music is going up, like, pew pew pew. That's the whole movie, or every action sequence is. It could just get kind of boring. And, like, I think the thing that made me really not like this movie was because there's a certain plot line where a couple characters go to a planet, and it's like cannibal robots or whatever, like, but not cannibal, like, evil robots, whatever, and it just kind of like felt like a very unnecessary plot line, just kind of bored me and kind of felt like it was just running the movie a little bit too long. So interesting to watch this movie and see like, yeah, that's like the animated cartoon. That's what the animated cartoon was. See what other people would have grown up with, and I get that if you like this movie, it's just not for me because I didn't grow up with this cartoon. And I didn't find the movie to be that compelling. Number 7, Transformers: Age of Extinction. And this one is very, very hard for me to talk about because I don't remember a single little plot point about this movie. The only thing I remember is Mark Wahlberg's in it, the Transformers are hunted, Mark Wahlberg meets Optimus Prime, and Mark Wahlberg's daughter's boyfriend is constantly trying to make up for him dating a minor. Yes, the whole plotline with the daughter's boyfriend thing is the daughter's boyfriend constantly bringing up that I can date a minor because of this and this and this and this and this. I do remember watching the movie, not hating it like a lot of people do. I do remember finding it to be enjoyable. But now, about a year later, after watching the movie, I don't remember a single plot line about it. Like, I don't remember what the overall plot was. I do remember the dinosaurs show up for like 5 minutes in the movie, but I don't remember really anything about the movie. So I can't really talk about it because after watching it for a year, and that's after watching all these. Some of these movies I didn't even rewatch last year. I didn't rewatch the original Transformers, I didn't rewatch Revenge of the Fallen, and I couldn't remember everything about those movies. I cannot remember a single thing about this movie, so it has to be this low. And speaking of Revenge of the Fallen, number 6 is going to be Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. This is a movie that is frustrating to me because it's got great things in here. There are some fantastic action sequences in this movie. And when I say fantastic, I mean great. When Optimus Prime dies, that whole battle there is awesome. The Fallen is an awesome villain. There are some great things in this movie that make it worth your while. The thing that hurts this one is the humor. Michael Bay's humor. Like, we get that in the first Transformers, we get that in all the Michael Bay's movies, but most of the time it's funny. Like, look at Bad Boys 2, another Michael Bay movie. Like, it's got the gross, crass humor, but it's actually funny. This movie just, like, makes total points to point out, look, that dog's humping somebody. Look, that robot's humping somebody. That was the humor in this movie, and it can get really annoying. And like, there's a part where the detective guy's like, oh, look, robot balls. That's what the humor is in this movie, and it can get really, really, really annoying and really frustrating really soon, because as somebody who makes those jokes in real life that I find funny in real life, when I'm watching a movie about robots fighting and the jokes that I normally find funny, if you just keep bringing it up, it just loses its grip. Like, a joke about robot balls was funny one time, but if you keep having the joke show up over and over again, it gets really repetitive. So, also, like, the story, there is a couple story inconsistencies, some things that don't really make sense, but I think the main issue is the humor. But there are some cool things, like there's some cool action sequences, there's some cool stuff in this movie. Just the humor really hurt it, and that's mainly the thing that sticks in my mind when I think about this movie. Kicking off our top 5, Transformers 1. Now, I know this is at the top of almost everybody's list. I totally get that. I like this movie. I give this movie a positive score. This is where, like, the negative thoughts start going up. I like this movie. There's some great voice work. There's some cool action sequences. I love the villain in this movie. And the movie gets better as it goes along. Megatron's fall is fantastic. Like, watching him be this good guy turning into the bad guy, easily the best part of the movie. That's easily the part that I love the most about this movie. I think this movie, where it really hurts it, is the characters, besides Megatron. Because Optimus Prime is this big leader guy. He's the guy that brings the Autobots together. And as you get that in the third act, but the majority of the movie, besides the third act, was just him, like, joking around, oh, hey guys, we gotta break the law and we gotta go to this place and do all that. It just didn't feel like Optimus Prime. It just felt like an irresponsible teenager. That's what the character of Optimus Prime felt like throughout the majority of the movie. And then when we get to the end, it just feels like, oh, all of a sudden he's turning into Optimus Prime. That's cool. I like that. I like that now, finally, if we get a sequel, we're gonna see the real Optimus Prime. But watching him be like a irresponsible teenager really harmed the movie for me. I really did not like that aspect of the movie. Also, I don't like the animation. Like, I know it's just me problem, but it did feel kind of cheap, like we were watching some kind of Cartoon Network show. It's just my opinion. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but I know that a lot of people love this movie, and it sucks that I didn't. I thought it was good. I thought it was heavily flawed, but one thing that we can all agree for sure, the Transformers 1 hype guy on Twitter is awesome. Number 4, I'm going with Bumblebee. Now, this was a movie that I first watched back when it came out and came to DVD or Blu-ray, and I checked it out with my family. Thought it was a good time. When I rewatched it last year, I thought it had some great aspects of it, but then again, never fully got as entertaining as the Michael Bay movie. Same thing with Rise of the Beast, which we'll talk about here in just a minute, but I feel like this is, as a movie, a better movie than Transformers by Michael Bay could ever be. But as a movie that should be entertaining, it's not as entertaining. Starting with things I liked about it, Hailee Steinfeld is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. Her character is really compelling. Same thing with Justice Smith. Everything about them was compelling. The characters is what I'm trying to say is really compelling. Bumblebee, really cool. The whole Cybertron sequence in the beginning is great. There are some fun action sequences. John Cena, fantastic in this movie. It's got a better story than almost all of the Michael Bay Transformers movies. It's not as jarring or as leaving you with this gross, exhausted feeling after watching one of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, but it's also just not as entertaining. Like, it's a good movie. As a movie, it's probably one of the better ones of the Transformers franchise. It's just not as entertaining. And so it's very hard to talk about this movie. Like, Rise of the Beast, I'd say, is a little more entertaining than this one, but also Rise of the Beast can never fully, like, have the great story elements that this movie does, while it also can never be as entertaining as the Michael Bay movies. In fact, I don't know why Rise of the Beast is higher than Bumblebee. I think just because of that third act and just the theater experience, I think really elevated that movie. Yeah, let's cut to the chase. Rise of the Beast is number 3 on my Transformers ranking. But, yeah, Bumblebee has all the story of what a good movie should be, just can never fully be as entertaining as the Transformers movies. And with Rise of the Beast, which is my number 3, it can never have as great of a story as the Bumblebee could, but it can never also, again, be as entertaining as a Michael Bay movie. It's just a flat middle-of-the-road Transformers movies. But with a middle-of-the-road Transformers movie, that's what makes it good. I'd say Rise of the Beast and Bumblebee are about tied. The thing that elevates this movie is I do think that the third act is phenomenal. I think that all the action sequences in the third act is great. There's some awesome stuff in here. The animal robots are really, really cool. A really nice aspect in this movie. Again, that third act action sequence is great. I like our characters that we are here with. Anthony Ramos, I do really like him as an actor. He's one of my favorite actors working in the game. But I do like that aspect of it. But then again, I know I said this numerous times, the story never hits the levels of Bumblebee's story did, but it's also never as entertaining as a Michael Bay Transformers movie can be. So it's middle of the road, but you know, if you have movies like this and Bumblebee that aren't like Michael Bay, and it doesn't leave you with that feeling that you get after watching most of Michael Bay's Transformers movies, I'd say that's a win. I'd say these are both good movies. They just can't reach great potential, in my opinion. My number 2 is going to be Transformers Dark of the Moon. This is the Transformers movie that has the biggest spectacle, and it's really entertaining, but the story just, again, isn't as, like, vibrant. It's not as entertaining. Like, the story is kind of dull. Lucky for it, majority of this movie is giant robots fighting each other, and it's awesome. The whole third act battle for Chicago, very entertaining. It feels long, yes, but that's what it's supposed to be, and it's just really entertaining. We get to see some robots that we haven't seen in live action before that are just really, really cool, that I really liked in this movie and was dying to see in a Transformers movie. So, yeah. When we have the big giant robot action sequences, this is one of the best Transformers movies. Just the story isn't as strong. It tries to tie it into the moon landing, which didn't quite make sense in my opinion, but out of all of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, which one would I rather rewatch? I'd rather rewatch the ones that is the most entertaining, the one that has all the biggest giant action sequences, and that giant worm robot thing in the third act where it was just crushing through buildings was awesome, by the way. But I would much rather watch Dark of the Moon over Revenge of the Fallen, Age of Extinction, The Last Night, any of them. I'd definitely rather watch Dark of the Moon over all those. And some days I'll even pick it over my number 1, which is the original Transformers. I grew up with this movie, watched it countless times. I love this movie. This made me love this franchise. And even though I don't think it's a great franchise, I do love the franchise because of the magic this original movie can be. We get introduced to Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox, who are just some fantastic characters. Not great characters story-wise, but just characters that you enjoy having fun with. And it's just like, a lot of the movie is you don't see the Transformers. You just see the Transformers through human perspective, that they're being chased by the robots. The robots are scary. And then about halfway in the movie, when we finally meet the Autobots, it's awesome. And then we get the final battle, which is awesome. This is a movie that feels special. It's one of those movies that feels special when you get the countless sequels. Not countless, there's only 8. But when you get a lot of sequels to the Transformers movies, it just feels special going back to the one that started it all. The one that actually has a great story, actually has the most awesome battles in this entire franchise. The one that has the most compelling characters. The one that has the humor and still feels fresh. Every time I watch this movie, I don't get the disgusting, not disgusting, but the tired feeling I get watching the other ones. I just get that this was an adrenaline-fueled joyride that I loved. And I love the original Transformers, and it will forever be my #1 and in my top 50 of all time. With that said, let me know down below in the comment section what is your ranking of the Transformers movies. I want to know all that and more down below. Stay tuned very soon. Terrifier 3 review, Terrifier ranking will be the next big ranking coming up. And with that said, subscribe to the Nerd Army. Peace out.